Somehow this morning I started singing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but chains and whips excite me.
Oh.
So all I have in my head is, na na na, come on, come on, na 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 na, na come on. It's just playing again and again and again.
I always think of Pitch Perfect with that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where they come in with like those zoom, 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 zoom.
This is not saying Pitch Perfect. I can't say that out loud, so we gotta cut that out. Yeah.
She has not seen Pitch
And
Perfect.
I keep saying, Trey has not either.
I cry when I watch it.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
It is hilarious.
Yep.
And then also like heart-wrenching.
It's heart-wrenching. And it's so, when she does the like fist at the end, tears. Just so many tears.
Like the vomiting. It's incredible. It's good.
The misogyny in the booth where she like plays his leg, that's fucking hilarious.
It's stupid and wonderful and tear-jerking.
And I know every word to all of it.
And I love the arrangements. I bet the soundtrack's like on Spotify.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
yeah,
at least
I
that
have
would bring
it.
me joy.
We should play
There's
it
a Pitch
for-
Perfect 2, right?
Yeah, and 3.
Oh.
The third one, not my fave.
I like it. Kinda
Honestly,
like
the
downhill.
second one's not even that great either. But I love the first one.
I love the first one.
And I just love Anna Kendrick. So I think we should put it on for Trey and your kid. And like you and I can like do the dances with it. You know, I can't do the dance, but I'll sing. And
Good.
You can do the dances.
I will be bad, but I will.
And that's okay. We accept that in this house.
We do. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Sex Ed for You podcast with Lauren and Holland.
Where research meets reality. This is the podcast for people who want to date and have great sex that is safe, fun, and enjoyable.
We want to empower our listeners to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living. I'm Lauren. I'm a certified holistic sexuality educator, and I work with individuals and partners and parents to overcome sexual obstacles so that you can have sex that is juicy and delicious.
And I'm Holland, and we're working on my title.
Do we want to launch right into that, or
Yeah,
do we want to
let's-
talk about cookies?
I feel like we can start with that because that's probably the shorter bit.
Okay, let's do that.
So, I don't know. Okay, so not January, May? Was it January? It was January because I quit my job at the nonprofit. So in January, when Lauren and I went to New York, we had this huge, beautiful brainstorm on the way home on the train. And it was just so incredible. And as we were sitting there thinking through all of these things, we were like, well, what is the title of someone who makes these things happen? And you were like, well, it's director of operations.
Right.
And my brain was like, oh, I can do that. Which is great of me.
So great.
She's a brave woman.
We celebrate bravery around
We
these
do.
parts. Courage, bravery. These are, yeah.
So I literally like named myself director of operations. And which was fantastic. I loved it. I started taking on things like finances and taking on more of the planning stuff, more of the administrative stuff. But if you know me, you know that I just like to take things on because I think that I can do them. And I can, but it's not what I love. So what ended up happening was I ended up burning myself out, working too much, and which is sad because Steffi can't pay me for those hours, which is okay. And I knew that going into it. And what I was telling myself was I'm putting in overtime now so that I can be salary soon, like sooner. And I was very confident. Well, I wouldn't say very confident. I thought that I was perhaps capable of bringing in the revenue to hire myself full time, essentially.
Hopeful or something. Like,
yeah.
let's say, I think the intent was so good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was great. No, it was totally fine. And I'm really proud of myself for that. This is not a bash on me at all. I was like really doing my best. Thing was, it just didn't happen. And that's okay.
Well, and it what was bringing joy in the beginning, not very quickly, eventually started to not bring joy.
Right.
And in fact, probably bitterness.
A little bit. And there was there were bumps in the roads because that's what business, especially small business is. There were just things that were really hard for me, especially on like, I am not a money-brained person. And so it was really hard for me to take on like the financial side of things. And so, yeah, essentially, I think it was last week, there was just many straws that broke both of the camels' backs. The camels are Lauren and I. Our backs are broken.
We are the camels. And the universe, God, goddess, what did I keep calling her? Mama Jesus or something?
Yeah, Mama Jesus.
I don't know what I got in my head, but I was like, Mama Jesus is like this. She's like, oh, these camels going to break right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to break them right now. Because it was like the universe was like, here's everything that could, like, things that never all have gone wrong in 1 week. But it was like the universe was like, you going to look at it? You going to assess these things?
And it was time. We needed to assess the things.
Time. But it also at the same time, we say on here, everything always doesn't feel like the right time.
Right.
Right. Because when is the right time to bring up difficult things, right? Because you're thinking, Holland just moved, all this stuff. Like, this isn't nice.
No, there was so much
Mama
happening.
Jesus, though, was like,
Yep. And I have dubbed this year, I know it's like numerology, it's an 8 year, but like this year for me has been just like constant and consistent change. And so this specific week, I had literally moved on Tuesday. Something goes wrong Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
It was a lot.
So much.
It was a lot.
Like some of the
And
things.
you had started a new job, like another part-time job.
Yes.
How soon before? Like
The week before.
The week before. Yeah. So it's not like you were just twiddling your thumbs.
No.
Yeah.
So essentially, a lot of things happened. Mama Jesus said, it's time for y'all to look at your operations. And so last week, I think on Tuesday, we sat down.
We sat down because I had to drive to Roanoke.
Right. And then I couldn't go to Roanoke
Well, because,
because I had so much else to do.
much else.
Essentially, everything is just wild, which is
Which
totally
happens.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I think one of the reasons we wanted to have this conversation on air is we want to normalize. I'm going to cry. This, because it's not easy. And I think people look at how we're running this business and they're like, wow. But it's not easy. Our culture doesn't give us any examples for this. They give us examples of people being mean to each other or complaining or fretting or, so this is hard. It is hard. And there's no like right time. There's no right time to bring up these difficult conversations, especially when you care for someone too. Like, so continue.
And yeah, I think it is so important for us to talk about this. We both actually came in today and we're like, I think we should talk about this because it's so hard, but it's harder because we've never seen any examples of it. Yeah. And it would have been so easy for us to jump to bitterness and anger in these past few days because a lot of these things that went wrong were my fault. And like, that like I need to own up to that, and then you also are my boss, and so there's like all these dynamics we've got going, and it just would have been so easy for you to say like, Holland, like you fucked up and I'm angry at you, and you did say I'm angry at you, and I said that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what was so beautiful is that we would have these tough conversations, and I would say I know that I need to, as a healthy human being, say this hurt, right? This brought up feelings of anger, but I could know that Holland be like, yeah, I understand that, and it had no like, it didn't mean I didn't love Holland. It didn't mean. No, but there's got to be worlds in which people are allowed to experience feelings inside of workplaces because they do. Yep. Right? It's the same thing as not teaching sexuality education in schools. Not teaching it doesn't keep people from having sex. Yep. Not normalizing emotions in the workplace doesn't keep people from having emotions in the workplace. Feelings are still hurt. Balls are dropped. We're human beings, right? Like, no, we make mistakes. There have also got to be workspaces where mistakes are allowed, where people can say, hey, this all happened. Let's make this workplace more workable.
And I think, like we needed these things to happen because now today we're like renegotiating my contract, which we needed to do anyway.
It was hopelessly outdated.
Yeah.
We laughed. Oopsie. We were like, haha.
I cannot believe we thought we were going to redo that in March.
What? Yeah, I guess we just took off. I don't know. Anyway, we're renegotiating my contract today. The way we do my contract, I'm technically like a contractor. I'm a 1099 contractor. So that means technically Lauren's my client. So I have a contract that says I will do these tasks for you. And then we like sign it. We have end dates on it. We have how much I get paid. We have the little benefits where Lauren pays for my gym. Not Lauren, but Sex Ed for You pays for my gym membership. You all.
And so thank you for keeping me fit. So
it's our wellness package.
It is indeed. And so we're talking today, we're changing out some of these tasks. And so I think it's really cool because we're going to get to rebalance. Like, I'm going to take a few things, we're going to shift around essentially and make it in a way that's comfortable for both of us. And yet sex ed for you is still getting their money's worth. I'm still getting paid, and like everything's just going to be, I don't know. We're renegotiating.
What would be after one has renegotiated, it is, I don't know.
More comfortable?
More consensual in our bodies. I think to also works. This is why it's important we talk about this, because this is sex. Okay. What we are engaged in, this contractor and client relationship, is a transactional experience. And I tell all my clients this. This is why we talk about money in 15-minute consults. This is why we always talk about money, because they are paying me for a service. And they need to know the deliverables that I will provide, because they should know whether or not they are getting what they need from our transactional experience. And this is why we do a check-in every 6 sessions, and we review goals and objectives, because we say, are we heading towards where you desire to go? If not, you should stop using my services, not because I'm a bad person, but because you have other needs. Exactly. And somebody else might be able to get you to your goals. Yeah. Or on the flip side, maybe they're not pushing towards those goals. And I can say, hey, I'm noticing that we're not going in this direction. Would you like us to reassess? Does this still feel good in your body? Which is in essence what we're doing here. Yep. Transactional experiences can be beautiful. They totally can. Sex work is work. And they need to make sure that both, the giver and the receiver are both in consensual experiences. I didn't want to take away from you, but I do have I would love to share some of the things that were going off in my body that made me think, but I didn't want to derail.
No, you go for it.
Okay. 2 of the things that I want to talk about, human design and Wheel of Consent. So from the human design standpoint, it was like every graphic, I sent one yesterday, but every human design graphic was about being in work and being in flow and being in your thing. And as a generator, my not self theme is frustration. And I know it. If I'm feeling frustrated, something is not right, because I am meant to literally be little workhorse. Talk about a camel. I am meant to be the camel, right? Like, give me the work, I will go. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I had my longest client day ever, and I was telling Holland, it was like joyous. I was just like, I could have done it for hours more, because that's what I'm meant to be doing. When I am doing the thing I'm meant to be doing, I'm in joy. When frustration is constantly knocking on my door, I'm like, holy shit. There was a night I couldn't sleep. I was having fictitious conversations with Holland in my head, and I was like, nope, this does not work. This is not how this works. And on the same flip side, bitterness is her not self-esteem. And I was seeing that everywhere in her, just not towards me and not even verbally, but I can see how she was feeling about things versus when you're in ease. Yeah. And y'all, when she does things that she is good at, that come naturally, it takes her 5 seconds. And she's like, it's so wild. It's amazing. But to see someone not in that is heartbreaking. And every projector in the world, and I have 3 of them around me, be it my kid and Trey and Holland all together. And if they're in bitterness, it is oh Lordy. So.
It's sometimes I can't feel it. I don't notice the shift because it can be really gradual. Which is, I think, what happened this time. Because I just was this is just, I need to get it done. This has to be done by somebody. I have given myself this title. I need to live up to what the expectations that I set for myself. And I obviously never want to disappoint you. But at this point, this was an ego thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was fully I said I can do this. I need to do this. And yet every time I sat down to do, it was finances for me. I'll be so transparent. I think everybody should know. Am not someone who enjoys looking at numbers. I am not fluent in that language. It just feels almost like I just get so stuck in it. I can do my own personal finances. It's fine. But even that, it's very anxious for me. And as we said last time, Holland does not put herself in anxious situations. So I was just getting so frustrated because I was I should be able to do this. But I just didn't feel like I had the knowledge that lives in your brain. I keep saying that because you founded this business. You know where things are. You know what like what taxes we've paid, where things have come from and where we want to go. And I'm feeling like I felt like I was constantly just trying to catch up, and I'm like sprinting my hardest, and I just can't get there. I just cannot get there. The knowledge is not within me. I don't have the tools. And I just was feeling frustrated, and I was like meeting with the accountant, and the accountant would ask me questions, and I'm like, I don't know the answer. And that was so disheartening, because you'd be in session or something. And I'm like, first I would be disappointed in myself, because I'm like, I should know the answer to this, but I don't. And I can't reach the person who does. And she shouldn't. I was frustrated because I was like, I shouldn't be bothering Lauren with this.
Right.
This is something I was supposed to take off her plate, and I can't do it fully. And I just felt like I was disappointing both myself and you. And so it just was getting to the point where I couldn't even sit down to do it anymore, because it was like this looming thing that was just like holding over my head. And so now we're going to change that.
Because y'all, do you hear this? Like, how many times does this happen in a workplace? Right. And please hear me, in bigger places of business, they can hire for specific things.
They're very specialized.
And, like Holland wouldn't have gotten a job in that area. But in a startup, it is unique. It is unique. And before Holland came around, I was doing it all. And so we were just trying to plug and play of what is a way, where can her skills help take some of the lift off of me, because so anyway, so Wheel of Consent, that concept too. Not only was I feeling frustration and could tell the bitterness was rising in her for this thing that did not come easily to her. And please hear me, Holland is a very hard worker. She does not, it's not like, oh, well, I won't do it if it doesn't come easy to me. That is not how she functions. But there is I would have had to be like completely blind not to see, the sticking point here, as opposed to other stuff, which, she can just kind of like get in the zone. Even the video editing, not your fave, but like I knew that like if I was like, let's set a deadline, that you'd be like, great, let's get it done. Yeah. And because the click, do, I know you can get in a zone there. And it's also something you can like see the end result of in the package, and the business finances are not like that. They are just ever going. Yeah. And yay, it's wonderful. We are making money. But then Wheel of Consent concept. So then I started thinking, okay, wait a second. Like consensual communication, everything should happen inside of consent. And I started to feel like taken from, like I was enduring and tolerating. And the moment, y'all, this is why Wheel of Consent's so fabulous, because I was like, whoa, hold up. Enduring and tolerating means you are feeling taken from, which this person who works with you, that is not her intent. So if that is not her intent, that means that it's not what you don't want, it's what you do want instead. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Well, that gives us new words, right? Because sure, I could have waited until a better week, not the one you just moved on, to have this conversation, but is that worth it to sit there and think ill of the other like I would have either had to continue to endure and tolerate or to move out of that space, like in some way do some mental mind slip onto, oh, well, she's the, no is the answer.
As difficult as it was being that week, it also, in like that conversation being difficult in a way, but also it's you and me. So it's
also us. There was no like yelling.
No, it was just like, you're not doing this. And I was like, you're right. And as hard as it is to hear, like it honestly is also just like affirming, like, Holland, that's just not what you should be doing. And so it felt in the moment, it's almost like what I said with the conversation of like friend zoning when we friend zoned each other, me and my friend. And it's like the same thing, like it hurts in the moment, but the long-term harm is reduced by tens, reduced by so much, because if you had tolerated, endured, and if I had not brought it up also, it would have been another week or two of me feeling like this weight and you feeling tolerating and enduring. And that does more long-term damage than just bringing it up and saying, we need to deal with this, and let's deal with it in a way that is healthy. It's difficult.
the thing we're always saying is when we don't communicate the thing that we need, want, or desire, we rob the other person of their agency. And I think that's the feeling too, that I was like, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with Holland finding out in a month how upset I was that week, because then she would have every right to go, Lauren, why didn't you tell me? Right? Like, I'm a human being. I should get to decide whether or not I am big enough to handle that. When we do that weird thing, when we infantilize someone else because we're like, oh, I don't know if they can handle it this week. What do? We go to this weird martyrdom place. And it's like, Holland didn't ask me to do that. She didn't say, oh, well, because I moved, could you not talk to me about hard work things? That wasn't said. If I had done that, it is a form of infantilization and a form of, oh, well, she can't handle that.
Right.
Which is gross. Like, no one wants to be treated like that.
No.
Even if it is a harder conversation. Like, I just really think at the crux, we want to be treated like the give me the hard stuff. Let me decide whether or not I want to stay in this friendship, in this work environment. To hear later, like, well, I didn't think you'd be able to. It's like, oh, what?
Where did you get that idea?
Yes.
I didn't say that.
But thank God for the wheel of consent, because it was the only thing I kept coming back to of, no, I don't have another model. I don't have someone else to talk to about this. I don't believe in gossip. I don't believe in like those types of things, but I know I'm interested in doing business differently. Yeah. How did it feel in your body when, I did bring some of these things up? Yeah, as opposed to waiting or something like that.
I'm trying to even think. I mean, like, this is going to sound weird, but like I knew it was coming because like I knew that week I dropped the ball. I felt it. I didn't think of the Friday night thing.
It's okay. Do you want to tell them what happened?
Yes. So my roommate's car got towed and she
moved on Tuesday. Give everybody the like play by play.
Yeah. I moved on Tuesday. I'm trying to think of I had work Wednesday, my new job. I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings. And so I had work Wednesday. Something happened that day with a free consult. I didn't push it through. I have to click confirm. And I, for some reason, didn't see this one, which has never happened before.
Never has happened before. And especially has never happened while she's at a different job.
Nope.
So I'm sitting there like, well, I'm not going to text her at work, but also like scrambling because we've made it so that like I'm kind of not on the back ends of all of these things. So then I was like, oh fuck. So that was just number one. The day after my sweet friend has moved though. And that it also usually Mondays and Tuesdays, now that I have this new Wednesday, Thursday, Friday job, Mondays and Tuesdays are my days that I do sex ed for you work. Right.
And because I moved that week, I did no work on Monday and Tuesday because I was packing and moving furniture and putting things on Facebook Marketplace and doing all of this craziness. So then Wednesday happens and the consult doesn't get pushed through. And then Thursday happens. It's the longest client day you've had in
ever. It's Seffi's busiest day ever.
Literally 7 clients back to back. You were 10 to 8 that day. It was insane.
Favorite day ever. Bring me yourself.
And I was like, that sounds
Mama's
awful.
ready. Meanwhile, it's the other great thing about looking at things holistically, because yes, this stuff was happening, but also Thursday was my favorite day. But then I'm in bed at 11:30 Thursday night, and one of our calendar notifications comes through, and it's not supposed to. Something happened on the back end. Again, this has never happened before, but somebody was able to put a intake session on for the next day at like 1.
Yeah.
So this is 11:30 p.m. 1 the next day. Holland's working at her other job from what time? 8 to 1. And so therefore this person needs stuff for their first session.
They need like forms and paperwork and homework.
One of my best friends from Texas was coming in, and so I had a workout class at 8:30, so I had to get up and earlier in the day again, please hear me, she's right here, we love each other, but Holland's work.
Yes.
For this person.
Yes.
Because of a computer glitch. And again, couldn't really say anything because it was A, 11:30 at night, and then B, 7 in the morning when I'm doing this stuff.
And we don't know. I think it was because of a New York thing. Like that was weird.
That setting was just
an issue. That's nobody's fault. It's just the fact that it was there.
Amazing session. Love you. Yeah. It was all meant to, in tears. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely meant to happen.
And then Friday evening, my new roommate, I have barely even settled into this room, into this new apartment. My new roommate's car is towed. She's crying. I take care of people who are near me. And so I was like, I must help because this is like immediate. But Lauren and I had planned to podcast that evening because we hadn't podcasted on Tuesday because guess what? I had moved. And so Friday evening, we were supposed to podcast between two clients. And so she comes in, my roommate comes in crying, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't, because I have to take her to go get her car. I don't know how long that's going to take. And I'm thinking, oh God, like, and she's essentially all of these things are happening. There's music on in the apartment. She's on the phone with her mom. She's also calling me. And so my like spicy brain is like, ah. And so I'm like, okay, just text Lauren, and get it over with and like do whatever you can to help her. And so I text Lauren and I send her like, can't come. Roommate has this. And then I was like, and then roommate left and I sent her a voice memo because I was like, okay, now I can explain what's going on because I felt so guilty for not showing up for the podcast. And in my guilt and in my chaos and in all of this loud stimuli where my brain is not working, I don't think about the fact that Lauren is in session and I and her kid and her husband are the only people who can reach her when she's in session on like the do not disturb thing. I am one of the only people that comes through. So she sees 4 texts come through from me in the middle of session, which usually means emergency. In reality, it just meant, hey, can't make it tonight. But that probably stressed, I know, not even probably, I know that stressed you out so much.
Just because of what I tried to tell her is the reason she and Trey and my child are on there is because I care about them so immensely and or yes, like a like something bad. Like, so it's a virtual session, but the phone is like propped up over there on do not disturb on the driving mode. Shout out work hack. If you do the driving mode, you can customize the message. So everybody else gets this message that's like, hey, I'm in session.
I used
I'll
to
get
get
back
it,
to
but
you.
then I got upgraded.
Yes. So, but Holland's not getting this message. No. But of course, I'm thinking in my mind, she knows I'm in session because no one else also has access to my calendar. So I'm thinking this truly must be an emergency. Like something is going on because it's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh my God. And sessions are pretty intense. So I'm like trying to find a moment. Somebody had to like go to the bathroom or something. It was perfect. So I picked my phone up, but only to see like
can't come,
can't podcast. And so then of course my like problem solving brain is like, well, when the fuck are we going to podcast? Like, oh my God, that's adding like more to my thing. And also my nervous system is just like, well, glad she's okay. But also like, what? I'm spinning.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's okay. We already talked about it. I love you. So then I get out of session and you FaceTime me? Y'all.
You know, in hindsight, that was not my best choice.
No, I'm glad you did because seeing your face reminded me. I wonder if everybody else has felt this too, when like your brain is saying one thing. So it was actually good to see your face because I was like, I love this person very, very much.
Even though she's pissing me off now.
Right? Like, but these things happen. And yeah, I was the most pissed. I
I could not. I didn't realize at all because I was still like, roommates in the other room. And I'm like, literally no thoughts in this brain.
Only to then find out while we're on FaceTime that in the also chaos of the week, we have not done what we typically do on like Tuesday, which is plan out the segment for the next week. So not only am I like not doing the thing that I thought I had to do, then it was like, okay, great. What are we going to talk about now? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Yeah, it was intense.
It was intense.
Yeah.
So then I did another client. And yeah, by the weekend I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to talk about this in a good way, in a really good way. And because that's not your job. Your job is not to have to mind read. My job is to say, okay, I'm feeling these things and we got to talk about it. And so then we did. at the earliest. Oh, then we get in the chairs and we did double podcast on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And Holland keeps saying, she doesn't know at this point that I'm about to talk. And she just keeps saying, yeah, all you do is communicate.
You just have to tell people.
You just have to communicate. It was like, again, Mama Jesus was like,
Hi.
you going to communicate with that beautiful woman? You going to talk to her? Because this is another thing that comes into play is old work traumas that we may have, old instances of communication where we weren't met with the beautiful open-heartedness that you meet me with every time I have a conversation with you. And so it's really amazing too to say, no, I will not. I will repattern. I will form a new neural pathway because those old experiences do not define now. And I talk with so many individuals in sexuality education, but then so many people in business worlds too. I'm like, well, why don't you just talk to them? Well, I tried that once and I'm like, and that makes sense. A trauma-informed view says, okay, we know why, but excuse me, again, robbing somebody of agency. Holland is not those other people, and that is not fair. It's just not. She deserves to get to be exactly who I know her to be.
Or just be a terrible person, and then I would not be here.
What do we always say? Like, they're either a good person or a motherfucker.
Or a motherfucker.
Like, but you get to. And this is why renegotiation is so good too, right? Because people should get to decide what they want to do. And they can only do that if somebody stands in their agency. Yeah. So Tuesday, she says all these beautiful things about communication. And so on Wednesday, we already had a meeting on the books, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Because it was like the finally meeting after the crazy week. Yeah. Well, we met about everything else, and then I brought it up, and she was the champion that you all know her to be.
I don't know about champion.
You just were like, no, this makes complete sense, and we need to talk about this. And when I talked about the Friday multiple texts and things, you were like, oh my God.
It just hadn't even hit me.
And it's fine. That's why we all have to talk.
And I deserve to be called out on that because now going forward, I will be more mindful of it. Because I think, I don't know, I had been mindful of it before and then it just slipped and now it's back in the front of my mind. And that's good. And we need that there.
She has access to my calendar, right? Yeah. Like, it's totally fine. But she deserves to get to know, not just me sitting over there being mad.
Yeah. Because now I can fix the issue.
Right.
It's a fixable problem.
100%.
But I would not have fixed it, and I would not be so mindful literally like today, tomorrow, this week.
Well, it was also, we talk about the difference between an accident and a violation.
Right.
It was clearly an accident. You are not the person who would do that as a violation. Like, he. No, she's...
Let me just ruin her day.
Right? Like, no. And so if it's an accident, individuals deserve pathways to restoration. End of story. Yeah. If it's a repeated accident where someone cannot remember, well, then we should, again, renegotiate and be like, this might not be a great partnership or working relationship or something if it's literally something that's a repeat. But difference between an accident and a violation. I think so often we talk about boundaries so much, right? Or a red flag or all of these types of things. And we don't communicate with someone. She did not intend to, no, not at all. And yeah.
But it's still my fault and I should still be held accountable.
And that doesn't negate all the other beautiful things. We all fuck up though. And it's okay to be like, my bad. Yeah. Thank you for telling me. It is a beautiful character. Yeah.
Woo! Woohoo! So now today, after this, we're going to go finish up my new contract. And I'm really excited, actually. I brainstormed some new title ideas. I used the edit feature on Google Docs, which is probably the sexiest thing that's ever existed as far as technology to me. I used the little suggest feature so we can see all the changes that I made and we can discuss them, and we're going to go through that contract. And by the time we leave today, you better believe that we are both going to be so excited about this next chapter of Sex Ed for You. And that is what work should be. And I love you. it's just really cool that we get to do this.
Yeah. It's healing and it's world changing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for providing a work in which I feel safe and comfortable to do so.
I think we're all so beautiful as human beings. And just because we're growing and changing and becoming or not doing something the way somebody else would do it, those things should have no bearing on our worth and our value in the world. And to say things should just be the same forever, or that our needs don't evolve, is silliness. And I know that it might be harder to have a workplace that continually negotiates contracts, or like more work, or a workplace that discusses menstruation and discusses, our limits and our bandwidths and our resiliency. But I don't think it is. I think it's like not actually harder.
No, gosh, I will say though, it kind of ruins you for unhealthy workplaces. It's so beautiful though. It is so different. And yes, it is uncomfortable at times. Yeah. I think it's not more difficult, it's uncomfortable. Especially for people in male bodies. Because yes, we do talk about menstruation. We do talk about my hormones are doing this. Yeah. We talk about changing responsibilities. We talk about doing things different because it's stupid to do things for the sake of doing them the same way as they always have been. We are changing because we believe in evolution and the beauty of humanity and the beauty of being who you are in the way that you were designed to be, whether that be by some god or a universe or the goddess or whomever you believe in. I do think that we all know intrinsically we are who we are meant to be. And if we embrace that, you can find yourself really stepping into the beauty of working consensually and embracing how incredible that can be versus working outside of consent, working in a way that doesn't feel good to you. It's different. I would never say it's harder. I would say it is it can be very uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to have hard conversations. But again, look at the harm reduction. Like from a public health point of view, yes. Like the harm reduction that we do by having these difficult conversations cannot be understated at all.
Yeah, think about how many people deal with small t traumas in the workplace, but even big T, deal with abusive bosses, deal with being yelled at because like this is how it should be. It's all like hierarchical models of power too. It's again, this work that we do, I deeply believe has to inform how we run a workplace. And yeah, I've been in the other way. I have. I could never go back. Not I.
Not I.
I'm not interested. Not a little bit. Anyway, thank you for being you. And I am so excited.
Me too.
We'll share with you all soon. New titles and new this and that's. And yeah, we deserve to.
Yeah.
Do you want to switch gears and talk about other things? More fun, frivolous things, but not really?
Yes, of course.
Yay. So, we always love a Holland's Love Life update on this podcast. The Bachelorette, we could have our own version, a healthy, consensual version of the Bachelorette, and that's Holland.
It's just me.
Yeah, so many things. So many things. You update us on what's going on, what's swirling. Speaking of consensual communication and generative things. Yeah.
We need to give nicknames so that we can. Yeah. Okay. I got this.
You have the nicknames?
I have locked and loaded.
Okay.
So Y'all remember Blind Date Boy?
Uh-huh.
That's going to be his name.
Okay, great.
So, this is hard because I know he listens.
Hello, Blind Date Boy.
Oh
I've heard so much about you.
Okay, so me and Blind Date Boy, we decided that we do not have aligned belongings on, I
You guys
think,
had like a great conversation about
oh my
that.
gosh, yes, it was beautiful. We talked about that, I think, like 2 episodes ago. He's incredible. He's a really good friend. I really enjoy being around this person.
Yeah, this is funny. We've never talked about it knowing the person listens. I know. It feels like an alternate perception of reality.
The way I'm like breathing, I'm like sweating.
I can tell. She's like so nervous. Think of the audience. Think of the audience.
Guys, I hope y'all are experiencing that I'm just a human too. I'm just a girl. Okay. So, yeah, we kept hanging out. He's really great. I really enjoy hanging out with him. After we had this conversation, I am very good at putting like my emotions and feelings in a box and just, there's like a corner of my brain. This is part of my brain's way of protecting me from trauma, and now I use it. I'm like, oh, look, like it's like a little superpower. Like I can put my feelings in a box and I can hide them from myself. So I was just like, oh, okay, like we've decided that we are not going to be anything more than friends. Ta-da. Pack that box all nice and neat, put her in a corner, baby. She gone. And then we just kept hanging out, and then the box very slowly started to open itself and come out of the corner, and in the box is Blind Date Boy. And I have created this analogy for myself and for you and for Lauren to explain how I feel. So Blind Date Boy is a cookie. It's a really delicious looking cookie, and just cookie in general. He's just he's an amazing person. Cookie, sorry.
Cookie.
He's a great cookie. And I feel like since we have decided I cannot eat this cookie, and the cookie does not want to be eaten because the cookie and me do not align. And that's okay. We can live parallel, right? Like I can have the cookie in my hand, but I just can't eat it. And so it's like,
it's almost like you're allergic to the cookie, like to nuts, and the cookie is like one of those delicious chocolate chip cookies that also has nuts in it.
I just can't have it.
And you can't have that. You're allergic.
I've told myself that I can't have it. And like I just can't, because me and the cookie just don't work out, and that's okay. And has been established, but the cookie still looks really delicious, and I still really want to eat the cookie. And so it's almost like I'm just like being dangled in front of me because I keep hanging out with the cookie, and so more and more it just keeps looking more and more delicious, and I cannot have the cookie because I will hurt the cookie if I eat the cookie, and the cookie will hurt me if I eat the cookie. And so I just can't eat the cookie. But no matter what, my brain is like, look how fucking delicious that cookie is. So essentially, in plain words, it's very difficult because he's a really good person, and he's been really helpful over these past few weeks with moving and with some familial things that are going on, and he's just an incredible person, and I really enjoy being around him, and he like makes my life better. But he deserves someone who has his same value system. And I deserve someone who doesn't want to change me, because I already have a lot of people in my life who want me to be a Christian again. Yeah. And that pressure is just already really, really large on me. And I don't want to put myself in a dating situation in which I feel I need to change to be enough, because I am enough. I am enough without Christianity. I am enough as I am. And that's okay. It's very difficult. When everything, we've talked about this before, when everything aligns except one foundational fucking thing. And unfortunately, that's enough. We literally have said this so many times. Like, that's enough.
Because all humans deserve exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Pleasure and a partner who celebrates their values and longings too.
Right.
Like, just plain and simple. Just boom.
Yep.
And can that be kind of like heart-wrenching? Yes. But isn't that so much better than getting into partnerships and dating relationships where you one another want to change the other?
Yeah.
Like, it really is the more loving way.
It is.
Rough, yeah, but wouldn't it be so much better if we're all like, yum, can't have you, but yum.
Yum.
Like, as opposed to, yeah, that feeling of both parties wanting to, well, I will just say, as a person who was married for a decade and wanting my partner to change, it's miserable. I would do anything to go back and leave him sooner,
right,
so that I did not make him feel the way that he did, that I made him feel. I will forever feel bad. I don't want anyone to ever go through that. Yeah, was it horrific that I went through alcohol abuse and like other things like that? Yeah, but it's also not okay that I made him feel so small because he could never be enough for me.
Yeah. I think this specific situation is very, very much the universe, God, goddess, kind of giving me some hindsight too. Because when I've been in a relationship, a very serious relationship, where I was the Christian and he was very much in the same position of I am, that I literally currently am. It's like roles reversed to a T, because I was in a relationship where I was Christian, but like a very easygoing Christian. I'll put it that way. But I still wanted him to be a Christian. I wanted him to come to church with me. He would meet with my pastor for me. He was doing these things for me, but he wasn't anti-Christian. He wasn't anti-Jesus. He just didn't believe. And that's where I am. I'm not anti-Jesus. I'm not anti-Christian. I just don't believe anymore. I've been there and I've just decided it's not for me. So this is quite literally the exact foil to the relationship that I was in. And I saw the harm that it did to him within our relationship. And I saw the harm that it did to me within that relationship. And I know what the outcome is because I've lived it before. And I just can't do it again.
What a gift. I have goosebumps. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right.
And talk about the perspective that I'm gaining. And I think it's also such a gift to know what the outcome is, because the relationship that I was in was beautiful for a myriad of reasons. And he and I still cherish each other, but it is still, it's what broke us at the core. It is what broke us.
Right. A difference of values alignment. It's part of our little motto for this podcast. We all get to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living. And that extends so deeply to the dating relationships that we're in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gosh, y'all, we deserve pleasure. We deserve orgasms. We deserve joy. We deserve abundance. And that does extend into our faith systems, into the religion we care to be a part of, into spirituality, into lack of. Yes, because holistic natures, these parts of us are deep parts of us and deserve to be seen and celebrated.
Right.
Because someone who has worked hard to mindfully and lovingly deconstruct their faith to a place of agency and beauty in themselves deserves to be celebrated, not made to be converted or proselytized to. And I'm not saying the cookie would do that. I'm just saying that it is work. You have done work that deserves to be honored, and that is okay. As do people deserve to be in fulfilling partnerships where their faith aligns. Right. Oh my goodness. Yes, they do. That is an important part. When I was in school, I tell all my clients that they had us do a deep research paper, and I knew I wanted to do one of the long-term effects of purity culture in sexual partnerships. Long-term effects. And they have you go into this a little bit trying to check a research bias, to make sure that you're not going in just to prove your point. And I did find harmful ramifications, of course, but I also stumbled into research that talked about the beauty of having a faith practice, the beauty of spirituality. And it was the exact little like slap on the hand that I needed. Like, it doesn't fuck everybody up. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. There's even some research to suggest that those who did choose to abstain from sexual intercourse until marriage had a higher level of sexual self-confidence. And I have seen that in certain clients. And so I want people to know chosen, mindful abstinence, not compulsive, not following the script of somebody else, but a true embodied choice does have research to back it. And I never want people to think that we just come in. I mean, this is where research meets reality. We will talk about the harmful ramifications of it, but we'll also say, no, it's not always true.
And I think it's so beautiful.
Yes.
I think, I just, because of what we speak about every day, I think there are misconceptions that, we just want everybody to have sex all the time, which is not true. If you want sex all the time, then we do want that for you. But like, we want what's best for you, what aligns for your longings, for your faith system. I'm from Texas, y'all. Like, I have so many friends who have beautifully chosen abstinence until marriage. And it's lovely to watch.
Yep.
It brings me so much joy. It's so fun for me to hear the other perspective. Like, I was just on the phone with one of my friends who's chosen that, and she asks me the most beautiful questions about her relationship because she's in a new relationship, and she's like, how can we be intimate? And she gets to ask, we get to have these most incredible conversations that I don't get to have with other people because I'm telling her, have him wash your hair, have him give you a massage with your clothes on, like have these beautiful intimate moments. Intimacy is not just sex. And we get to have these conversations that are different than what we typically have in our daily lives. And it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. And that is what the cookie deserves, to be lovingly celebrated in the way that he deserves. And I am just not that person. And recognizing that sucks, but it also, again, long-term harm reduction, friends.
I just want to say, I also work with those couples, a lot of them that chose to abstain from penetrative intercourse until marriage, and are coming to me because they're so excited, right? Not because of vaginismus and dyspareunia, because they want to have a more thriving sexual relationship. So y'all, it does not need to be a doomsday type of thing. And on that exact same note, folks who choose to be sexual human beings of all forms at all times in their lives, once they are consenting adults, also don't need any shame ever heaped upon them. Not at all. And so we should be in relationships that align with our longings. But that's not all you have going on.
Okay. Well, I didn't know we were going to dive into this too, damn it.
No, you're chatting with other people as well. So Cookie, you're wonderful.
Not the wink.
But you are a human being.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's good for people to see that we all kind of go through phases where we're like, where are people? And then we go through phases where it's like, oh my goodness, so many
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know, you're chatting with someone, and that's been good.
Yeah, it's been great. So I think we vaguely mentioned him before. We're going to call him New York Man.
Okay.
So New York Man, I met when we were in New York on Hinge. We didn't meet in person because my dog died.
Yep.
I was supposed to meet him, and then my dog died. So I was
not really in like a new people meeting.
Not space. On a first date type of vibe. But he and I, like, literally off the bat, had incredible conversation. I mean, it was just the first thing. Hinge is one of those, all dating apps have their qualms. But I really like how Hinge, you can respond to like specific prompts. So he had responded to one of my prompts where I said, I'm writing a book. And he said, what are you writing a book about? And then he we just dove immediately into this long question.
The first thing I remember about him is you sending Dr. Betty Martin will of consent stuff. This was like day 5.
He gave me his email.
Yeah. She's like sending consent resources because he was fascinated, not like because you were educating him on, like he wanted to know.
He asks beautiful questions and is so open-minded, and we have a lot of the same values. Our values and longings do align very well. He has asked me just beautiful. It's funny because you always ask me, does he ask good questions, or do they ask good questions when I go on a date? And with New York Boy, he not only asks good questions, our conversations get to a point where we don't ask questions because we're just bouncing off of each other like like a ping pong ball. Like it's just like boom, 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 boom. We joke because our texts will like start with, you know how there's the threads in like Apple Messages. It's funny to look back at where the threads have started because it'll literally be like, how was your morning? And it's somehow turned into like talking about race and religion. And I was like, how did we get here? I don't know. Like we just end up, our personalities just do really well together. We're both very silly and yet very intellectual and have a lot of really good conversations. We've had like FaceTimes and Discord calls, if the gamers know what that is. Yeah, we've just had a lot of fun. I just realized this the other day. It's been 2 months of us literally just being like pen pals, essentially. And I typically would have not.
Wait, I want to brag on you too. One time they had a FaceTime date and they had an agenda for their FaceTime date. I thought it was the cutest thing in the world.
We've done PowerPoint nights too.
I love how many people are out there. This is also why Cookie deserves some, like there are just so many amazing people in the world. Yeah. Okay. So New York Boy. Yeah.
We make agendas often. We had an agenda for our call last night. Actually, I made it.
Yay.
Because last night was our like final call before we are meeting in DC this weekend.
They've never met in person.
Nope. And I feel a little insane. But also not. And I think that's what's really important because when I tell people, I like the words come out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, you're like an idiot. You're going to get murdered. That's what it sounds like because I don't know, like I'm a girl and I just feel silly sometimes for I'm very risk adverse.
Yes,
and so I'm
you
like,
are.
oh my gosh, I can't believe like I am meeting someone I've never met before in a different city. But then like I sit with it for like 3 seconds and I'm like, I literally trust this man with my life. And I'm being very safe. We have all these precautions. Like he doesn't know where my hotel is and I'm taking my car and like all of the precautions are taken. But at the same time, I literally trust this man so much. Like there is just no part of me, similar to probably how you felt with Trey. Like there's just no part of me that's fearful at all because we've had so many incredible conversations and we're Marco Poloing every day and like texting, and it's a very, I don't know the attachment styles, but it feels very like, I think it's secure because it's like we don't have to text often, but when we do text, it's a lot. And when we do a call, it's incredible. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things we talk about on here all the time is intuition. And when we have young people stamp out their intuition, right? You need to go hug Uncle Johnny, teaching them not to trust themselves. We do a major disservice because our intuition is so wise. And I have seen you in spaces before. You had a date once and you left. You left the date. Like you were hanging out with a guy and your intuition said no. And we celebrate that. We celebrate the no's and the yeses because our bodies know. And I so trust you.
I do
that
too.
You'll get there, and if something feels off, you'll know it.
Yeah, and I'll leave.
And you will. But you guys have. It's not like you've just texted. You have done FaceTimes. You have done Marco Polos. You have seen each other's like faces and stuff like this. And yeah, I think you'll know.
Yeah.
And I have you're tracked.
Yeah,
you're
she
tracked.
has my location.
Yeah, and I'm also not worried about that. And yeah. And ironically, Trey's going to be in DC at the same time.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is.
So like if something, I don't know, horrible happens, there's so many resources.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared in all of the ways. I think I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't meet him.
Yeah.
And the world is scary. Especially for people who have been through traumatic shit. And so there is a part of my mind that's scared. Mm-hmm. And I would be lying if I said there isn't anxiety about what if, But I don't think life is meant to be lived in a way that you don't take risks. Mm-hmm. I am meant to take risks for the sake of living my life to the fullest, and I wouldn't be meeting him if I didn't trust him. I wouldn't be meeting him if I didn't feel like this is really an opportunity for something beautiful. So,
and whatever it is, it will be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you will learn something from this.
Mm-hmm. And I feel safe too. I think this is an important part to say. I feel safe that if we meet on Friday night and there's no chemistry, because that's the only, I've always said to Lauren, like, that's the only variable with him.
Yeah.
Like, we know everything aligns, everything is great. The only variable is, do we have like in-person chemistry, like
which
romantic, physical
important.
chemistry. Very important. So that's like really the only piece. And I feel safe that if that's not there, I can say something, and either we won't see each other for the rest of the weekend and he will be very kind about it, or it will be like a friendship thing and we'll have a fun weekend just hanging out and going to museums together as friends. Mm-hmm. I feel 100% confident that he is not the kind of person that would like freak out about that.
No. He has not shown himself to be that.
No, not at all.
Didn't you guys even kind of talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was like one of the points of like, well, what do we do if one of us is not feeling it?
And he was the one that brought it
That's
up.
what I thought.
He was like, if you don't want to hang out with me like the whole weekend, that's okay. And I was like, I'm going to DC for you, but okay.
Mm-hmm. But that's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah,
consent can be renegotiated.
Mm-hmm.
That's the theme of this episode. Yeah. Because I could totally see you guys meeting on Friday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it being great, but not chemistry.
Right.
And being like, do we still want to hang out tomorrow? And being like, yeah, let's go to museums. We will have the best time. Mm-hmm. And you should get to do that.
Right.
If you want to.
Exactly.
I just so agree. I was just sitting here thinking, yeah, I mean, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have met Trey.
Exactly.
Like, wouldn't have. And all the same precautions were in place. And yeah, except I was in California.
Yeah, I'm much closer.
Much closer. And I'm so glad I did. And even the guy I dated when Trey was gone was from a town a little ways away from here. And I went and met him. Yeah. And I don't know. I so trust my intuition.
Same.
And on the counter, there was one guy that I had been talking to who was from Florida that wanted to fly in, and my intuition said no. Like, I was just, I didn't mind talking to him. He was not dangerous. I just could tell the in-person chemistry was not going to be there. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So I just always remember, I'm like, oh, the reason I didn't meet some of these other guys is I didn't want to. Yep. Like, I didn't make it happen. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy what happens when you listen to yourself, guys, because it was so easy for me for so long to not listen to me. I think a lot of us have been told no too many times and been told to be quiet and to stuff that intuition down. And in recent years, I've learned to listen to it. And I can't even say how much it's changed my life, because in February, I went on a date and I didn't feel safe and I left. And on the way home, I called you and it just felt to me so different, because a year ago wouldn't have left. I would have sat through it for his comfort, to make him feel better, to make him feel like he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. My body just said, leave. It wasn't that he was a bad person. I'm sure he's fine. Or maybe he's not. That's the thing. And like, I took myself out of that situation, and I don't know why I did. Till this day, something in my body just changed. And I was like, I need to leave. And I wouldn't have listened to that. Listening to that intuition very well may have saved me from something horrible. I don't know. And I don't want to know.
If anything, it just reinforces your body's ability to trust itself. Mm-hmm. I think self-abandonment is a fascinating thing. Yeah. And way to tie it all into our initial conversation, the things that I was feeling about why I needed to talk to you were intuition-based. Factually, it didn't make sense, right? Lauren, why bring that up right now? Lauren, blah, blah, blah. No, my intuition was like, must. It becomes more and more impossible to silence that voice too, when we have exercised it to the point that our bodies trust us to speak up for ourselves. Yeah. But boy, oh boy, self-abandonment's a thing. When our bodies don't trust themselves. I talk about this with my vaginismus clients. When we're sitting there forcing ourselves to have sex with this person with a penis, and we're just like, get it over with, just shove it in, just get it over with. Our bodies are like, fine, you're going to abandon me, I'm going to clinch down.
Right.
As opposed to, no, I trust Holland to go to DC and to listen to her intuition. Whatever that may be, the intuition may be like, you know what, not feeling the romantic connection, but this is so safe and so fun, and I want to play all weekend. I also trust, no, this just doesn't feel right because you did that other thing. Yeah, in February, we just left. Mm-hmm. When we are trustworthy with ourselves, like, anything is possible. When the comfort of others is not more important than our own discomfort.
And it's the small things.
It is.
It takes baby steps to get there, truly. I have not always been this way. Like I said, even a year ago, I wouldn't have made that decision. But it takes, honestly, surrounding yourself with people who also trust you. I think being around you has taught me to trust myself because you trust me. And that is different for me. I mean, people have always trusted me kind of in the workplace, but there's just, I've said many times, I've built my own life here. I have placed the people in my life very intentionally, Cookie included. Like, there are people, I'm only allowing people into my life who trust me, who are safe to me. And that's new. That is a new feeling. And it has empowered me to trust myself because I'm surrounded by people who trust me.
Yeah, you know how this podcast is about empowering people like to date and have these great relationships. Y'all, regardless of whether you're in a relationship, start doing what Holland was just saying now. Because when our communities are full of these things, when our lives are full of people who are reinforcing our intuition, not discrediting it, not gaslighting us, not saying, oh, well, but you hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
It is life-changing. I stayed in an abusive relationship for 10 years because I was afraid of what other people would say to me. Yep. That happens every day around the world. Yep. Start with who you surround yourselves with. Yeah, and parents of kids, if you listen to this podcast, same thing. Enforce your kids' intuition all the time. If my kid was spending the night an hour away at a lake house, and yet we have a complete understanding. I got to call at 1 a.m. Do you remember the story? Did you live here yet? And she said, I need to come home. And I said, I will be there.
Oh, wow.
And now, is there possibly a natural consequence? Mm-hmm. Yes. So we did say, okay, let's not do hour away sleepovers until you can drive again, because that was really hard on my body. But nope, came. Yeah. And because her intuition matters, not the discomfort of this family, not my discomfort, her intuition. Now, yes, there needed to be a boundary in place because I can't be doing that all the time. I'm totally fine. And she totally understood it too. Right. She was like, agreed. You don't need to be driving an hour there, an hour back in the middle of the night. And yet at the same time, she knew she could call and pick up the phone and that there would be no like, ugh,
Do I have to?
what?
Yeah.
Like, can't
Are
you
you
just push
sure?
through? Aren't you? Yeah. No,
Are you
something
sure?
in her body said, I cannot do this. I need to be home now.
Yeah. And that's okay.
It's okay.
We applaud that.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. A big one for me. This is for all of my girls who've been through abuse. I very much remember in my old life, just crying so hard after an abusive encounter and just screaming at the world, like, why are men like this? Because it's men who have perpetrated me over and over and over. And I was just heart-wrenching, like, why? And like calling out against men. And yet I know that that's in that situation, I should be allowed to.
Yes.
And people in my life were saying, well, not all men. Like correcting me in my grief, in my horror, in my trauma, in the most vulnerable moments of my life. And I am screaming angrily against the people who have hurt me. And people are saying, well, not all men. And invalidating the way I felt. And that was one of the moments that I was like, I can't have people like this in my life anymore. Because I deserve to be validated right now. Like it's enough.
Yep.
It's enough of people saying that. It's enough of feeling invalidated of it's enough men.
Yep.
And I just, that was the straw for me. Good. To say like, no, I deserve people who believe me and trust me and validate me and allow me to be angry when I deserve to be fucking livid. Because that is unfair.
And don't need to protect these weak men in their lives with their own. It's the matriarchy upholding the patriarchy. Man, it's what's so fascinating. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. We comfort the one who has been traumatized and taken advantage of. Because guess what? Those men that you're in some way defending, if they were true men, they wouldn't need to say this. Like, they also would be comforting. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and I hope listeners and sharers of this podcast know that it is never a statement to be said. No. It is the stupidest statement in the world. And if you can stop anything today, stop saying that. Yep. Stop saying it. And be a safe person in people's lives. And get away from people who do say things like that.
Yeah.
Who negate your pain to make everything else more palatable. Yeah. Do not be palatable. God. I'm so sorry. Yes, you deserve people in your life who see you and support your choices and your rage or your well-deserved anger as much as they support you leaning into pleasure. And this is why the both have to be talked about. Because when we don't discuss, oh, how does that make you feel good? Okay, for instance, childhood masturbation. This is a thing that people freak out about all the time. And I'm like, no, it is not connected to sexual activity. It is because it feels good. And when we let a child lean into what feels good, give them safe and appropriate places to do so, and celebrate what feels good in their bodies and teach them how to say no to what feels bad, right, we make their whole lives safer and more pleasurable.
Because you're feeding that intuition.
Yes. So you go on your trip and you listen to your intuition. And if something horrific happens, you know that I will be furiously angry with you. And then if something delicious happens, I will celebrate. And then on the flip side, if it's just meh, great. You did a thing. Right. We can't live our lives being afraid of the good and the bad.
Exactly.
We can listen to our intuition and we can renegotiate. Love you. This has been the longest podcast in the world.
It really has, but it's been such a good one.
Good. You want to wrap us up?
I do. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for supporting us. If you would like to schedule a free consult, you can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult, and I will approve it, most likely. I'm going to be better with that.
It happened once. It was really,
and now I am anally checking our schedule all the time. Yeah. So yeah, submit a free consult request. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, we would love to have you there as well. It's at sex_ed_for_you. We just had some really incredible courses go live. It is the Sex Ed Prep for You, Sex Ed Prep for Parents. And it is on our website. I'll link it below. You can do 2 payments of $60, which I think makes it really accessible. It's 7 modules, guys. This is like hours of content. There is a workbook that I put my lifeblood into.
It's so beautiful.
It has clickable links, okay?
It's so beautiful. You could print it out. You could use the PDF while you're watching the course. The course is really good too.
It's incredible.
I'm not saying this because we made it. I'm saying this because we've had to listen to it now 1,000,000 times because you guys might remember we recorded and then it didn't work. And so we recorded it twice. Then Holland had to edit the whole thing. Then I had to listen to her edits. It's so substantive.
It's incredible, y'all. I am so proud of this course. I think this should be like mandated when you get pregnant. You should have to watch this.
Because it isn't like this is what you should do.
No.
It's, hey, what kind of sexual values do you want to have in your home? What did you think sex was? What type of values do you want to pass down to your kids? What do you not? Tons of anatomy, tons of the different ages where you should be discussing certain things. And then so many resources. Wheel of Consent, games to play with your kids about touch. Amazing. I mean, it is so rich.
It is so, and it's for everyone. It's not just for the people who are like aggressively pleasure centered we are. This is also for Christians. This is for people of all belief systems, of no belief systems. It is truly asking you what you want your family to believe and how to make that happen in a healthy, consensual, and beautiful way. And it's incredible, y'all. And I will link it below. I absolutely think that everybody should watch it.
I do too. I really do. It is. We'll be able to share really soon. It is going to be on like a global platform. Which is kind of exciting.
Super exciting.
But
it's also on our platform.
But it's on our platform too. You can watch it there if you're a member. We'll share soon. But you can also get it for for lifetime access on our site, which truly helps. I know we've been talking about like Holland's work and stuff. We are a small business and the way that we make money is through these services that we provide and the things that we create, which is super freaking cool that they're like made in-house. Nothing was outsourced on this. This is all in here and talking and her editing and her incredible creative skills. So, it's really, really means a lot to us when you purchase things from us or when you do sexual education through us. It means the world.
And you're changing the world. I don't know if you realize this, but you purchase something from us, you are helping change the world. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, talk about like a symbiotic relationship. Social contagion, y'all.
Yeah. And so we would love y'all to do that.
That's all. Oh, these are our opinions.
Yes.
Make your own informed decisions.
Our lived experiences.
We like research, but always feel free to do your own and send us updated research if there's ever anything that you want to share with us or disagree with us on something. Great. We encourage that.
Send it to my email, admin@sexedforyou.com, and we will catch y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.